So you're just going to let yourself find your lovely, restful, semi-supine position. All the usual things: heavy pelvis, feet on the ground, widening back, being aware of the weight of the shoulder girdle, the lower back ribs dropping back and widening. And then we're going to think in a little bit of a spiral around the arms. And as I said, it does not matter if you lose me for any reason, nod off or just lose me, then just carry on thinking in your own way. But I'm going to think in that same way as we did before. I'm going to start at the back of my left ear and think from the back of the left ear across the back of you to the back of your right armpit. So left ear to right armpit. Then from that right armpit, you're going to imagine a sort of a little bit of a spiral coming up under your armpit and across the, well, actually it doesn't matter, or you could go across around the deltoid, which is where your t-shirt sleeve would finish. So you're coming around roughly where the t-shirt sleeve would finish. You're going to wrap your ribbon of fascia, connective tissue spiral around and come out at the elbow joint. When you get to the elbow joint, release something, let something go. From your elbow joint, you're going to spiral your way down to the base of your hand. So that's the wrist, the base of the hand. And then you're going to think diagonally from that point, either out through the thumb or the little finger. That's one. And the reason we work in spirals is because we're unraveling. Think of unraveling, think of finding length along that spiralic process, that line. So then you're going to say to yourself, let's do the other side. So we're going to start from the back of the right ear. From the back of the right ear, we're going to sweep across to the left armpit. From the left armpit, we could wrap around that sort of top of arm area, somewhere near the deltoid or the t-shirt sleeve. Spiral your way round and find yourself to the elbow joint. Think of asking a releasing, letting go through the elbow joint. From the elbow joint, spiral your way over the forearm and find yourself to the base of the hand. The wrist, the base of the palm of the hand. Depending on what sort of area, what side you've come along at, what bit, you can think diagonally out through the thumb side or the little finger side of your hand. Spiraling one way, spiraling the other way. It matters not. If your hands aren't on your body, I'd like them to be placed on your body now, just for a moment. And I'd like you to be aware of the base of your hands. So if you tend to have your wrists floating in air, I want you to push your hands closer to each other to make sure your wrists are really make sure they're on your body. And we're leaving those wrists on the body where we're making a connection. We're making a conscious connection of the hand onto the body. And the reason that conscious connection is there, hand onto body, is so that we can allow the elbows to release, to drop back away behind us, elbows back and down and away. It's a bit of a weird direction. It's a little bit like those knees that we direct forwards and away, or, you know, all the other sort of weird things we direct, but elbows always seem particularly strange, back and down and away. And in this moment, we're sending them back away from the hands that are resting. This is a very arm focused lesson. And so I'm going to leave it to you to attend to any gentle rocking that your pelvis might need. So as soon as I laid down here, my pelvis said, I need a bit of a rock. So this is why I'm telling you. So the next thing we're actually going to do is we're going to unfold those forearms so the elbows stay on the ground and you're opening the arms out, you're opening, unfolding those forearms so that you end up palm up with your arms roughly 45 degrees away from the body, a bit like Mother Mary standing looking kindly at you in the church, that sort of look. Or normally she just looks a bit sad, to be honest. And then again, if you need any kind of gentle rocking. With your arms in this position, palm up, your forearm bones are parallel. There's a bone that runs from the elbow down through to the thumb and a bone that runs from the little finger, from the elbow down to the little finger. Both those arm bones are now parallel. Give yourself a moment to experience that resting through the forearms. If you've had a busy kind of day with a lot going on, tell your arms to switch off, to do nothing. We're then going to use the same arm together. We're going to do this together. You're going to bring your awareness to your right hand. And you're gently going to curl it as if you're kind of grasping an invisible collection of air, as if you're hanging onto the air, making a fist, but not a tight fist. Yeah, you're just grabbing the air. And it makes the hand go into a claw shape. Do that a couple of times and then release. So a claw shape and then release. You're then going to take that soft, loose, claw-shaped right hand and you're going to fold that arm at the elbow so that your fingertips come up towards the shoulder. And you're going to touch the front of your right shoulder. So now, just to clarify, my right arm is bent, folded in, my fingertips are touching the front of my right shoulder. And the upper arm bone still resting on the ground. You're then going to continue the idea of folding, and you're going to lift the elbow off the floor now as if you were trying to fold your arm in completely. So now your elbow is pointing forwards and up, and your fingertips are starting to dangle towards the ground by your ear. And then the goal is to find the ground with your fingertips in this claw shape. So you're making like a little cupcake shape, a hand over cupcake. And I want your little finger on the ground. And you need to bend the forefinger and the thumb quite a lot to get that little finger on the ground. Let your back change. Stay free in the neck and the jaw. Then unfold that arm and place it back on the floor, palm up a little away from you, just where it was. You're then going to take your mind over to your left hand. Do a little bit of grabbing the air with the left hand. Feel free to rock and roll the pelvis if it's tightening up in any way. We're grabbing the air with the left hand and then releasing. And then again, grabbing the air with the left hand and releasing. And the next thing we've got now, what we've got now is this soft claw of the left hand. Going to leave the elbow on the ground and start to fold the left arm in, folding so that the fingertips of that hand, that claw hand, come and touch the front of your left shoulder. You're going to pause there, release something, your diaphragm, your back, hips. You start to fold the arm even further because you're lifting now the elbow off the ground. The elbow's moving forwards and up. And the fingertips slide by your ear and you start to look for the ground with your fingertips and thumb, and you're making sure that your little finger is in contact with the ground. So the forefinger and thumb need to be very bent. And it'll feel different. Both sides will feel different. There's not a lot of symmetry that goes on in the shoulders. And then gently unfold that arm and place it back on the ground. So you end up back on the ground with your arms out by your side and your palms up. Again, feel free, rock and roll the pelvis. Ooh, have a little releasing yawn if you're me. And we're going back to the right hand. Yes, no, we will do them one at a time. So you're grasping the air with the right hand. You're making this kind of soft claw with the right hand. You fold that in. We're doing exactly the same thing, folding so the fingertips of the right hand come towards the front of the right shoulder. The elbow comes then off the floor because we're folding even further, and we're letting the fingertips rest by your right ear on the ground. Especially that little finger. As you really let the little finger rest, you might find that the back changes, the shoulders change, something changes. So your elbow is pointing to the ceiling and your fingertips are resting on the ground. Say hello to the left hand, grasping the invisible air, creating a soft claw, folding at the elbow so that the fingertips touch the front of the left shoulder. Stay back in your lower back ribs and let them widen as you lift the other elbow off the ground. So there you are now, elbows towards the ceiling, letting the fingertips of the left hand find the floor. And you eventually end up with your hands, fingertips down, pointing to the earth by your ears, your elbows pointing to the ceiling, going forwards and up. Know where that little finger is on both sides. Let the back widen, let the lower back stay back and widen and release. The next bit is a different sort of bit. We're going to look with our eyes up to the right, up towards that elbow. You're then going to unfold your right arm, leading with your little finger. Unfold it, reaching up as if you're going for an imaginary piece of fruit from a tree, welcoming your inner primate. You're going to leave that arm up there as if it's grabbed onto something. Look to the left. Unfold the left arm, leading with the little finger, so the hand rolls round and you grab a piece of fruit from up in front of you. Now you have two hands hanging on to an imaginary bar, like you're some sort of weightlifter without any weights. Say hello to your back. Imagine your elbows to be very heavy. They're so heavy in the elbows, they're now pulling your arms back down to the ground with your imaginary bar. What a weird thing to do. You're eventually with your elbows resting on the floor, your hands holding an imaginary bar, thinking, what the hell am I doing? Let the arms drop to the floor wherever they want to go. Rest your arms. Rock and roll your pelvis. Give it a moment. Draw your arms down by your sides again. Roll them so they're palm up. So we're back to our starting position. Release your jaw, soften your tongue. Let your neck be as free as it can be. What does that mean? Ask the base of the skull to widen. And big muscles in the neck softening and letting go. Notice the change in the back muscles and openness through the upper chest. Unfurl your fingers and then draw them into a little bit of a soft claw as if you're grabbing air. Both hands at once. Leave your elbows on the ground. Fold the hands in so that you're touching the fronts of your shoulders with your fingertips again, both hands at once. Stay back in your back and let your ribs widen. As you lift the elbows, pointing them up towards the ceiling, forwards and up again. Let the fingertips of your hands find the ground. Your right little finger is close to your right ear. Your left little finger is close to your left ear. Your fingertips are on the floor and your elbows are pointing to the ceiling. Take a moment to let the lower back ribs drop back and widen, the knees to release forwards in space. At a time that feels good to you, you're going to unfold your arms and grasp imaginary fruit or that strange bar that isn't really there. Unfolding the arms so the hands come round and grab onto the bar. Really imagine that you're holding onto this bar and you're drawing it back down to the ground, pulling back to the elbows, drawing back down to the ground. So eventually you end up with your upper arm bones on the ground, the elbows on the ground, and the hands hanging onto an imaginary bar. Release your arms any way you like. Have a rock and roll of your pelvis.